go then. We should be live. According to me, I'm live. Are you live?
Oh,
You're not live.
well, I'm just about alive.
Just about alive. Okay, there we go. That's our analysis for today. Is Carlo is about alive. Done. Finish the
Just
episode
about.
there.
That's all anybody ever needs to know. That's the most important part of, Song of Ice and Fire. Will
Carlo
Carlo stay
is
alive?
alive. Yeah. Okay then. Craig Noreg, I'm just banning you from chat there.
Already.
Uh.
Yeah, already coming in with the
Yeah. No.
big throwdown.
Right. So we are actually back proper. The normal time, 7 o'clock. So we'll go through the news first, and the news really, after all the hype and all of the Q4 stuff coming out last week and all the kind of stuff we did around that, we kind of almost forgot about tournaments. How bad?
Yeah.
There hasn't really been much news this week, right? It's been,
No, quiet.
it's just been kind of like the remnants of what happened last week.
Yeah, I think. Well, I haven't seen many physical events like going on recently. There are plans. There are big events coming. But I think maybe a lot of people have been waiting for the Q4 to come along, and they're here now. So hopefully things will pick up. We'll get loads of excitement coming over the next whatever, next few weeks, next month, next quarter. But I think the long period of waiting has kind of like come to show, and where nothing quite happening. Everybody's just waiting for the next thing, and it's
Yes.
come. So let's see what happens.
Definitely. All right, so that's just a very quick sum down of like what we saw over the last week. Pretty much a dearth of anything major, really. Certainly not since last Monday. But of course, we've kind of got Carlo's thing, which we'll get onto later on, which I know has been out in the public eye now in the World Cup. We'll get onto the World Cup later on.
Yeah.
We're obviously going to talk about that and kind of like inform you guys what's going on. But for now, there's a couple of tournaments that we have to address, and the first one is something that me and Carlo are going to do a hell of a lot of work on in a little bit later today, probably.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the Masters.
Fun.
Fun. It's the Song of Ice and Fire Stats Masters Championship. We are
Yeah.
down to our final four, right?
We're into our semi-finals. Four very strong players still going on. It's going to be a really big week. It's a pair of Starks facing off against a Stark Baratheon matchup. Larks versus Open City. Open City has done very, very well to get this far. I think that I will be very, very surprised if he makes it through the semi-final against who is undoubtedly, in my mind, the world's #1 player, Larks. He is back ranked #1 after a period where he wasn't. He used to be #1. He lost it for a little while, but he is playing so much at the moment and playing so well at the moment. He seems to have really upped his game.
Yeah.
And he's playing a really top tier list, as he always does. You know what I mean? Like top players play top tier lists. And George has surprised me how far he's got, but I think that I would be amazed if he made it through Larks of all people into the final. And over on the other side, we have Bazoo bringing Free Folk coming up against Spleen, who's another Stark player. Spleen coming out of Australia, and Bazoo playing out of Malta, and again has done really, really well. He's relatively newer name, come up in the past couple of months, as opposed to been around since like the first MIG. Most of these names have been playing since then on the TTS, but his name's newer. And we're going to stream his quarterfinal game, which is a bit of a spoiler because obviously he wins, but Jesus, it's a brilliant game. So like, come and watch it because it's great.
Yeah, so there's the today's reveal, if you will. We'll be going over to the NRG stream directly after this. We'll again post links in the chat, which is somewhere down here for you guys. Down there. There we chat somewhere there, and we'll post the links down there, and you can come over and join us once we're finished here over at NRG, and we'll watch and we'll commentate on the Bazoo Tobho Mott game.
Yeah.
And
For Craig, the
yeah.
game mode this week is No Fome Pass,
Mhm.
which I believe's a better version of Game of Thrones, um, but I still think it's Stark favored. There have been two game modes. The last two, I think, were very non-Stark favored. This one, I think, is Stark favored. So I think that Open City and Bazoo both have uphill jobs to get through it. Free Folk should be able to do fine. I think particularly Baratheons are going to struggle to come through this game mode.
I'd have thought so too. Um, all right then. All right. So we will see. We will genuinely see how that shapes up, and we'll obviously be
Mm-hmm.
bringing you loads of footage. Um, am I right in
Yeah.
saying that the Larks Open City game is tomorrow night?
Yep, Lux Open City tomorrow night on NRG. The other semi-final is closer to Australian time. It's a very, very early European UK time, so I'm pretty sure that's going to be streamed by the Australian streamers. So just trying to organise that fully for now,
Hmm.
but we will definitely 100% get footage of both the semi-finals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Players also agreed between themselves. I didn't actually kind of mandate it. The players have agreed between themselves that they'll play for third place as well. Whoever loses the semi. So plenty more games to come.
Yeah. Richard Schultz there saying, I hope you change your mind on this move for Worlds. Yeah. We will talk about Worlds, and we'll talk about some things coming up
Yeah.
for Worlds, because I don't. Well, Carlo's the TO. I don't know if.
Mickey's not involved.
Yeah, I'm not.
Mickey's gonna throw shade.
I am going to throw shade. Well, no, I don't know if everything is set in stone 100% for Worlds 100% yet, because there's some recent feedback and things from various different game modes that I think is certainly worth considering, even if it doesn't change our
I,
decisions. But
I'll tell you. I'll tell you this thought. Yeah, Richard, of course, is
yeah.
line who just spoke to me about it today.
Hmm.
Um, I actually already said this to Nline. Yes, we're thinking about Starks and how strong they are and how good this game mode is for them. I think it's very important that this game mode looks at first glance to be very bad for Mother of Dragons, and I think that that is very, very important. In the coming quarter four changes, I think there has to be at least one game mode which massively favors you not being able to just put 3 dragons on the table and dominate the game. Because we ain't seen the numbers yet, but I think that's the way it's going to go.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if there's a hell of a lot of Targ players. um,
Yeah.
Annoyingly, I think I said this last week, I really wanted to play Targ and actually move into Targ in other tournaments. But I wanted to not play dragons. Like, I wanted to play like the
Mm.
Unsullied list and the Dothraki list, because I think there's a Dothraki list that works. And after my experience at 30 Point League, I think there's an Unsullied list that works, but I don't want to have to play Targ into a Mother of Dragons meta, because that is just not fun.
Yeah,
um,
that's right.
but anyway,
Needs to get in there while they were still underrated, underranked, underused.
yeah,
Uh, we'll see. We'll see.
Bruce there with
Of course,
the
yeah, of course you're talking to Groose, a long-time Tog player, or
yeah.
long-time Tog supporter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right then.
we'll see.
So
We'll see. We'll
that's
see.
Masters. Masters
Yeah.
is obviously going to be going. We're going to bring you all the footage as we know. Just a quick reminder on that: the final is actually going to be 3 games. Remember that it's
Mm.
3 games. It's not a best of one. It's a best of 3. It's the first time that we're really testing this kind of like series out. But you
Yeah.
see it a lot in things like I'm trying to think of the Magic finals, Hearthstone finals, things like this. They typically play longer games as the final series.
Yeah.
Dota for me was always best of ones, best of threes, and then the final was always a best of 5. Um, but you know,
The advantage we have here as well is that they'll be playing 3 different game modes. So it's not even just the same matchup 3 times, seeing which way it goes each time. We're gonna see them play across 3 different game modes, possibly even bringing different commanders in the different game modes. We'll see 2 players really, really for like probably the first time ever in this game go like actually head to head across like a series to determine who's better indisputably, rather than people saying like, oh, it came down to this one dice roll or this one card draw or something like that. Like best of three. I mean, imagine if we ran best of fives and stuff like that. But like, point is best of threes like a step into like who is really really the best
Yeah. So I look forward to that. I look forward to that. I kind of hope
here. Fine.
whoever's there, I really hope it goes to 3 games. Unless it's
Mm-hmm.
if it's a stark mirror, I think by the end of game 1 we'll know what happens in game 2. I really think you'll obviously see the Howland.
Yeah, I hope that it's not a stark mirror. You know?
Yeah. But I really like the idea that even if it does come down to a stark mirror, they might pull out the Rob and Roderick lists to try and get that one-upmanship and actually, see what happens
Yeah.
there.
See somebody go really ballsy and just pull out Brendan.
Yeah. Although there isn't a Brendan pick there.
No, nobody's that ballsy. Not in the Masters.
Yeah. All right. So, Worlds finals. Is the Worlds final gonna be 3 games? Well, we're not gonna say much about the finals,
Yeah,
are we?
it should be. Yeah. Roughly speaking, the finals will follow a pretty similar format to the way the Masters finals. It'll be 16 players again. It will be knockout, and we'll see. We'll see on the exact number. You know what I mean? We'll see if people even want to push it out to 5, or I'll definitely be looking at what the game modes are. They won't necessarily be the same ones that are in the regionals. Players between regionals and finals will get to change their faction, their commanders, their lists, everything. Like it's a whole new tournament. You qualify for a new tournament.
Mm-hmm.
You're not like forced to bring the same things in. There could be like erratas, rule changes, meta changes. Who knows? I don't think they'll be in stores or anything. But come Q1, January, Greyjoys might even be leaked.
I thought you were gonna say something really spicy because I mean Greyjoys is like we know Greyjoys are coming. We know you're getting like one of the first boxes. Okay, shut up, Carlo. But no, I thought you were gonna say something really spicy. In Night's Watch Hero Box 2 might be released, and that was
no, come on. Don't be silly. That's 2025.
What? We've got a date now? Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
No, yeah. So it's like we could see different things. So point is we got regionals, which would be big competitive, but like participation based level. Hopefully, looking to break the 100, be the biggest event that's ever been. Need more signups to get it that kind of big. Obviously, we're not at that numbers yet. But then we move into the finals, which is a whole new thing, and yeah, we'll see some players really duke it out there.
So that's kind of moved us on to kind of like the second thing that we were going to talk about anyway, which was the World Cup. We haven't really got any of the tournaments. Obviously, the tournaments aren't actually set up yet on stats.
We'll see how many where the regions end up being. Actually, early indications are there's a lot more US players than I thought would be. Based on I roughly assume that Europe would be the biggest region based on like people who use the site, but they've been hesitant to sign up. US, Canada combo has been the biggest sign up so far. So it's looking like there'll actually be 2 regionals in the US. So that's why the events aren't quite up yet. They'll go up next week when I've got a slightly better indicator of the numbers. But the earlier people sign up, the better we'll be able to organize that. People will still be able to sign up later. I will still add more events later if we need to. But like it'll just be a lot easier if people came straight away.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, Carlo's going to be TOing it. You're not going to participate, I assume?
No, as always. Don't think it's 100% right for TOs to compete in these things just because, I check all the lists, I see all the factions, I check all of these things. So I have more inside knowledge than I should have.
Yeah. I haven't decided 100% if I'm playing yet. I don't know if it's going to be... Well, because, I think I probably should.
Put your money where your mouth is, maybe.
Yeah, I should probably go and try and win something, shouldn't I? I probably won't. Anyway, so we'll see. We'll see where things go. All right then. So that is the World Cup. Definitely sign up. There's still plenty of time to sign up. Obviously, Carlo wants it faster than later, but definitely sign up to that.
Yeah. Always yesterday.
That kind of
with ideas and expect them to be done straight away.
I know, right?
That's how I work.
You're a crazy man. On that kind of topic though, or that topic of things doing yesterday and things coming up and tournament organisers playing tournaments that they're in, that brings us to Wolves Howling. Um, we
That
see.
brings us around to a tournament with the tournament organizer playing in his own final. There we
um,
go.
I'm not a coward, Bruce. I'm not a coward at all. I will 100% play a game if people want to play a game. What I'm worried about is I'm worried about playing Free Folk into a dragon heavy meta, and
Oh, but folk look like they're gonna get even better. They're the only dragon counter. They're the only thing to
I
keep them in
know,
check, Mickey.
I know. But I'm thinking
They're
they're
the
saying,
only thing to bring balance to the
do I
force.
want to rep Free Folk or do I want to try something else? And I'm thinking if I try
Oh,
something else, it just won't go well.
mm.
I tried that with
Anyway,
neutrals. That went badly. Right. So the final of Wolves Howling.
yeah.
We see Furioku versus Stannis in the final. Now, this event, I mean, I've been following this event relatively closely. I say relatively closely because, in case anyone doesn't know, Stannis, the Thousand Law Commander, is on our Team Super League team, and as a result, we
Mhm.
kind of inevitably follow him through it, and as a result, everything else. Um, he's made it through to the final. He's renowned for playing Baratheons. He's playing Starks this time against Furioku's Free Folk, his main faction. Um,
Mm. Interesting.
yeah,
I think it's interesting. So Furioku has been playing a lot of Starks himself and
hmm
doing pretty well. Furioku ran Starks in Masters, didn't, and he played Stannis in the first round
and he
and
lost.
lost with his Starks to Stannis's Baratheons. We now see them both change factions to what is both of their main factions. Um, sorry, no,
Stannis is off
yeah,
faction.
get that right. Furioku's reverted to his main faction, with Stannis now moving over to Starks, which he thinks are also very, very strong. So we'll see when they both pick up Starks, thinking they're the strong faction, if they're actually better than when they play them as them, just stick to their own main faction that they love and play the most.
Definitely.
Be quite interesting.
I believe the final is on Friday. Friday this week.
Yeah.
That's Friday, UK Friday, rather than Australian Fridays, which is Thursdays. Um, so I believe, if I remember correctly, he did tell me it's at 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening, UK time, I believe.
Okay.
The reason I'm saying that on stream is because I'm pretty
It should be
sure
getting streamed.
we're going to stream it out. I'm not 100%
Yeah.
sure yet if we can manage it. I'm not 100% sure we've got people, but I think I put myself down, and I'm probably going to make Carlo do it with me. So yeah, we'll go support our.
Friday night, I got nothing better to do.
Me and Carlo used to game on a Friday night, and now the venue's closed for the foreseeable. So why not replace gaming with talking about gaming?
Yeah.
All right.
Tell you what's super, super interesting about this
Go
tournament
on.
and why Stannis is so, so lucky. He actually lost
His
in
first
the
round.
first round. He
He
lost in
did.
the first round. Of all people, I think he lost to Bazu, which was, shows you why Bazu is also in the Masters.
He did
Okay, he
indeed.
had a tough matchup. Stannis was incredibly lucky to be the only player who made it through as the highest loser of all the games. So he's shown that, knockout is a pretty brutal format, and he was very, very lucky to make it through that first round of knockout. But now that he has been given that second life, given that second chance, he's made it all the way to the final.
Yeah.
And we'll see if he wins. That would be a crazy turn of events, and shows you why lots of knockouts run a double elimination.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We'll see.
But I just think that's super, super interesting that of all the people, only one person managed to make it through the first round, having been beaten, and
He's gone all the way.
and it was Stannis, and he's gone all the way to the final.
Yeah. All right then. So that is Wolves Howling. That will be ending, as we know, on Friday. And again, we will probably put some stuff out there telling people that it's going on. Depending on where you're all from, we'll obviously post in the Reddit and in the Discords and things like that. There are a couple of new names that good on to see today. Obviously, N-Line, Richard Schultz there. It's great to see him. Euron, Ilya, Francesco, Bruce. You know who you all are. It's great to see you all on. Also got, I wanted to give this an honourable man a mention. I don't know if he's still watching, but Charles Tran. have never seen you on our stuff before, Charles. So if you want to know if you've got a name on the Discords that you go by and that we would know you by, feel free to drop that in there so we know who you are. But it's great to see some more people. And then, as we can see there, dramatic entrance from Sunday Slaughter. That guy who makes some okay videos. They're okay. Like 6 out of 10, could be better.
I'm pretty sure your dramatic entrance is normally Booyakasha, is it not?
Booyakasha. Hang on, can we do
standard Sunday Slaughter?
Oh, it's Weasel Kingdom, Charles. Nice to actually put a name to name. We need to do the Sunday Slaughter fist bump, right? So I hang on this way. I do this. Let's try and angle this right.
Where do I go?
And then you have to go. Yeah, there. Your microphone's in the way.
It's going behind. Oh no.
Yeah. There we go. Boom. There you go. Way better than anything Sunday's ever done.
Mickey, we never do that again.
No, please. We never do that again. Okay. All right. So, what are we on to next?
Where are we on to next? Why don't we talk about the Spanish event? The Spanish, there is a huge Spanish tournament getting organized. It's not actually on the site because, again, a bit like the yeah. Don't point at me. Similar to the World Cup, they're doing something very interesting and I would say, what's the best way to put it? Sensible. Something very sensible in our COVID time, which is they are running what already promises to be the biggest ever physical A Song of Ice and Fire tournament, but it is run across 11 regional events in Spain. If you go to the front page, you can see that it has some really big sponsors. Asmodee Spain are involved. There's another store, I forget their name. But the banner's up there and you can see it. And they also have another sponsor coming in. But there are going to be 11 separate regionals, very similar to the World Cup, which is then going to play into a single final. I believe that the regionals are playing throughout November. And then the final will be in January or February or something like that, early 2001. But all told, I believe they already have like over 120 people, effectively meaning that the winner is the winner of the biggest physical event that's ever run. And that is about as good as you could possibly ever hope to run an event during COVID, I think. And it's a really sensible way to do it. So I can't imagine anybody watching this video is in Spain and hasn't heard of it. But if you are, then you should sign up. Like, yeah. I really wish that I could be a part of this. And if, yeah, like, I don't know why you wouldn't be part of one of these regionals if you could, because it looks amazing. Like, I'm really impressed with what they've done. I've also seen, you know, the tournament doc and stuff like that. They put a lot of work into this, and it's going to be brilliant. Like, and I'm so glad that it's on the site because that's exactly what we want to be involved in. Like, new, bigger, better ways to run tournaments is what Song of Ice and Fire Starts is all about.
Am I right in saying that it's not? They're not actually like one-day events as well. They're actually held over it's like a couple of weeks where they run all the games, so they can afford to do it safely in a right manner. They'll be properly scheduled in.
So I think even though each regional will have like way more than 6 or whatever your local country's number is like on any given day, you will only ever play one other person. So it's just 2 people meeting up to play a game, and then they'll get assigned their games over a few weeks, and everybody will hopefully stay super safe. But it is just an extended period of the exact same result that you would get from running a 120 people in one room kind of tournament.
Yeah, I think it's really good. And yeah, agreed, Charles there, agreed, Weasel. We will definitely be absolutely hyped to see all the different lists and see the meta that comes out of Spain, because we'll see, I think from my perspective and definitely Carlo's perspective, it's going to be, as far as I'm concerned, this is going to be the Spanish meta. We've seen German tournaments, and the ones on the site have not been big. The German tournaments have typically been around 20, I think, is the largest German tournament we've got. But we've seen a little bit of German meta. Strangely enough, it's pretty much a mirror of what we see in the global. We've seen the French meta.
They slightly define the global meta. Let's be fair. They're pretty damn good. Like, you know.
Well, Locks.
Everybody else is trying to catch up to
the French.
Trying to catch up to the German meta, as it seems.
Man, you can't sit there and say that. The French play. I mean, the French tournament team, the tournament scene is just like, I don't even want to try and understand it. they have some absolutely crazy things that go on in
True,
France. Like
true,
people
true.
with Targs making it into finals and things like that. He might just be really
Hey, I
good,
mean,
but
okay, we're talking about Bob Bernard, who
yes.
is like it seems the absolute king of the Targaryens. I
Yeah.
have no idea who will be able to stop him once he plays with a faction which has equal opportunities to everybody else, because he's already doing very, very well while playing a very poorly rated faction.
Yeah, he's sick. And he's a really lovely guy. I've spoken to him a couple of times. He's absolutely brilliant. Um, but yeah, he's the French. So the French, I don't know what the French do, but they clearly do something right somewhere along the lines, or
Yep,
terribly wrong.
yep.
We've seen elements of Polish meta before with the smaller tournaments. You can see a couple
Hmm.
there, a
Hmm.
couple of local tournaments there, but again, relatively smaller numbers. That's a Furioku tournament with 7. I think the other one was about similar kind of numbers. Yeah, that was only a very small tournament run by Bladewind, um, or running even, going to run. Yeah, so we're going to see a proper, actual countrywide meta. The only other countries you could
Hmm.
argue we've seen that are things like the US, with the
Yep.
likes of Gen Con. You could argue the Australians do it a little bit, but we know that the Australian
Mm,
meta
but
seems to be very separate. Like you've got the
yeah.
Adelaide group, you've got the Sydney group, you've got there's another group, isn't there as well?
Maybe,
I can't
possibly.
remember. Yeah.
All their events are continuous and small, which is
Hmm.
brilliant. But the same names each time. They're very, very competitive players, but it's a small group of people, which makes it hard to know whether or not it's like a more overall trend or just like this. It's harder to pick out trends from a very small group of people, both in terms of like how strong something is and also how popular something is, because
Hmm.
it's so overwhelmingly controlled by just like a few people's opinion,
Yeah.
and that's what like large scale stats will get away from, and large tournaments will get away from. You'll be able to see like an overarching trend, and it won't be so dominated by just one person's skill or opinions or ability.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
yeah,
So I think
I
it's gonna
think
be
we'll
good.
see some great stuff out of Spain, and
Hmm.
I've not seen anything from them before, like on the international kind of scale or anything like that. Not huge participation in the TTS events, and I've just not I've not seen anything on the Facebook groups and stuff like that that say stuff's going on in Spain. So I'm really, really pleased to find out what's going on there and that the game's growing strong.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, obviously watch out for that. Long story short, watch out for all of that. We will be coming back and we will be giving you guys pit stops on that, because as
Yeah,
we've just spent a lot of time explaining, we think that this is way more important than people give credit for.
yeah,
And I think that if you're not following this tournament, then yeah, you're perhaps not following tournament meta as perhaps as closely as you should do. Um, Bearing in mind it's physical, so it's running in a similar format to the TTS kind of stuff we've done, but it is
yeah,
physical.
yeah,
So it's going to go back to the days of pre-Dervishes, pre-Champions of the Stag. You're talking, you know, even Rose Knight. Rose Knight's R'hllor Faithful. That's about as far as you get release-wise.
yeah,
It's a bit of a hark back, but actually I think it's going to be really interesting to see how those players now adapt with the old tools. But anyway,
yeah, yeah.
we'll move on.
Super
Um,
interesting. We'll see.
So that's the big Spanish event coming up, and of course we've already talked about the World Cup and everything else going on. So that's pretty much all of the big tournaments and all the big stuff we've mentioned today. Um, we'll stop by. Should we have a look at some of the current tournaments running? Oh, we've got to do our bit, right?
Uh,
We've got to do our bit.
our bit. What's
Yeah,
our bit?
the bit where we show them the guild. The hang on, is the guild website updated yet?
Oh yeah, I think it is.
Yeah,
Now,
got,
Mickey.
we've got to do it. We might be humble, but it's worth showing the League B there for people to just admire a second. Where are they? There they are, the Lightning Lords. Those are our opponents this week. Um, have you got Greece?
Bruce throwing down smack talk, the very first comment of the whole video.
Yeah.
We'll see, Bruce. We'll see. We'll see.
But yeah.
You're just lucky. You're just lucky that you didn't get paired up with El Senor.
El
That's all
Senor.
I can say.
Yeah. You actually got.
So we finally took. So for those who are
Yeah.
interested in us talking about ourselves, we finally took number one being paired up against our exact equal score points joint number ones, the East Roasty Water Dancers. The games went 2-1 in our favor, and an unfinished game which was ruled in our favor
Hmm.
because of technical difficulties, which resulted overall in a 3-1. 3-1 win for the Humble Onion Smugglers, which is a win. We definitely won 2-1. It would have been nice to know if it had been 3-1 total.
Hmm.
It would have been great if that game had got finished. But it's definitely some water between us and them, and we've got to play 2 more weeks and hold that against the Lightning Lords first, but more importantly against a really big cross league matchup against the Three Eyed Roosters, which I know some people are talking about because it's important that it could have a big effect. I mean, we will win or we won't win our league, but we will definitely qualify for the
I
upper league.
don't think we
But
cannot qualify now.
exactly. But I think it could actually have a decent enough effect upon the other league, depending on if it goes massively in our favor. I'm not saying it will, but we could largely change the positioning at the top over in the other league if we were to massively beat the Three Eyed Roosters. So some people are discussing that, but I was aware that that would happen right from the start as soon as cross league matches were announced and as soon as they were going to be scored as part of it. And it's just part and parcel of what it is. It's a little bit of luck. I think there's a huge amount of luck involved in the league. Like, I am undefeated in the league, but you obviously have to be a skilled player to go undefeated. But you also have to be lucky in who you get paired up against, what faction you get paired up into, certain game modes, and a little bit of luck in the games. But really, it's like when you're not in control of the pairing system, there's a huge amount of luck there being involved. There are better players in the league running better lists than me, but they've been paired up into things that aren't favorable to them, and that's why they've lost. So
Hmm.
it's the same kind of thing there. Us and the Roosters have both been unlucky to be paired up against each other in such a strong cross league match, but you know, be an interesting game, and I'm glad that we get to play it because
So yeah, I mean this says it all, doesn't it? Really, I've played just as an example of that luck idea. I played a Free Folk Mirror. I've played a Stark player, and every other player except this week I'm playing a Baratheon. Every other game I've played has been against a Lannister.
yeah,
And it's like,
exactly.
well, yes, it's a function of my free folk versus Lannisters. It's generally speaking free folk favour. Of course, Mountain that Rides is in the game, so it's a bit of a twist there. But you know, how much of that is down to me being skilled, and how much of that is ultimately me just getting an easier faction that I can deal with. Um,
Mm,
so yeah, yes, the individual opponents are randomly assigned. Yep.
yeah, yeah.
So the matchups are completely random within the four. Um,
For this season,
yeah.
yeah, I think there's hopes and plans that for next season that captains will basically choose the matchups. They will draft the matchups, shall we say, between them. But it can take a long time between time zone mismatch and all that kind of stuff to like go back and forth multiple times. So yeah, there's a reason why it wasn't done just for ease. Um, it's it's been really interesting league. It's been really good participation. I'm actually very, very surprised. Like, I think there's a little bit of burnout there now at the moment. A little bit of people like, okay, well, this just needs to finish now. People right at the top, maybe they're still competing to be number one. People down the bottom are thinking, well, we've not done very well. I'm not so interested anymore. There's still a lot of interest in around who will qualify
Mhm.
as to who will go up to the upper league. So there's a lot more interest in and around positions like 4, 5, and 6 than there are around 1, 2, 3, and 7, 8, 9. That's the games to really be interested in and really be playing for. There's hardly any points involved difference there. Um, so, but don't forget, this is week 8 of 7, or actually because of the bye week, this is week 9 of 10. We've never run a tournament this long. Normally, I see burnout in a tournament after about 5 weeks. So I think the participation has stayed really high and the involvement stayed really high because of the team aspect of it, which is brilliant. And I think that that's a really big part of what makes it successful. The team is very good, and but still, 9 weeks is a long time.
I mean, we were talking about it in terms of Gold on Dice when Gold on Dice kind of ended. Um,
Yeah.
we'd almost, I mean, it was Gold on Dice started long before you went on your break, um,
Hmm.
and you know, it
Yeah.
was like, whoa, this has been a long time, and then it kind of ended
Yeah,
last week
they
or the week
managed. They
before, and
basically ended up extending it out to being practically 2 weeks per round. So even though it only ended up being like 5 rounds, that was spread over 9 to 10 weeks. So like people just lost
it's a long
interest at
time.
that point. It's it's really difficult. TTS has some really great advantages to it, but there are some things that we have to really consider and overcome to keep people engaged and keep tournaments interesting. Which is why I chose the 5 week regional into a 4 week final as a separate Swiss draw. Everybody plays 5 rounds, knockout format, because I don't think that you can keep interest beyond a 5 week period.
No. Plus, it gives periods between. It gives you a, we've got a cooling off period of the regionals. People can have 2 or 3 weeks
Yeah,
out, um, which again has
yeah.
been an issue we've seen competitively now. Myself and Carlo have played competitive sports, for examples, over years, um, and you do get burnout at the end of towards the end of a season. For us,
You need downtime,
yeah,
and actually, interestingly, there hasn't been any for TTS because lots of people want to run tournaments. Everybody's got the next big idea,
mhm,
and then almost like I know that I was thinking a little bit with the World Cup. It's very much like quarter four's out. I want to run the first big quarter four releases tournament, but like I'm sure other people would maybe think, oh, I want to run a quarter four tournament. Do you know what I mean? Everybody wants to be the first. Not like there's some level of coordination there. Try to fit it in around other tournaments. You want to keep the signups high. You want to keep people interested and wanting to play, but everybody can and wants to run a TTS event. Thanks to the site, it's as long as you're willing to TO it and push it out there, everybody can run it with relative equal ease. Um, there's a lot of thought to be added of whether or not you should be running a tournament at any given time.
yeah. But there you go. So that might be something we talk about in the
Yeah.
future as well, in terms of organizing TTS stuff.
Yeah, I think my thoughts are a lot on it would be good if we should get more of an organized circuit, in my opinion, where like we schedule tournaments in and around together, all knowing when other people are scheduling tournaments for and what the focus, size, aim of it is, cross promote, all that kind of stuff would be very useful. But like
Yeah.
their
Well, that
tournaments, sign up for them
It's an it's
for
another
now.
thing that something we'd love to work towards, but unfortunately it's not really within our power. But organizing around FAQs and rules drops and things like that, knowing, if we know there's a schedule in advance, if we can kind of like work towards something and we know, right, there's going to be rules changes, we don't know what they are, but we know rules
Yeah.
change are coming out here. Well, we know that, okay, we'll give it one or 2 weeks after that, there should be a tournament starting then for these new things.
It would
What?
it would be super, super, super useful if we knew when
Mhm.
FAQ 1.8, 2.0, whatever it is, was coming out. If we knew when these things were planned for, we could run so much better timescales and tournaments and be so much more professional is probably not quite the right word, but organized. We could be so much more organized about it, but there's a complete lack of communication there from the CMON side. So we do what we can.
Yeah,
We do what we can, which is
definitely.
things got released. I had already planned that things would come in quarter four and that we would run a quarter four tournament. And then things were leaked, and I was like, oh my God, I've got to organize this right away
Mhm.
because things are here so much sooner than I thought they were going to be.
Yeah,
And, you know,
it is what it is.
it's good. It's good stuff.
It is.
Like let's just hey, like there's quarter four stuff. Let's rejoice and play with it. Like
Yeah.
we'll see.
Hashtag play
It'll
targs.
never. Remember when everybody thought Melisandre was going to be the end of the game? Well, she's not, right? Neither's dragons. Neither's Mammoths. It's going to be great. they might change the meta. They're definitely going to change the way you write your lists, but it's not going to be the end of the be all to end all. And you know what? I'm more than happy if something eats a few direwolves.
Yeah. If anyone saw me post this on Discord earlier, I think this says everything. Like, I think Jorah stocks have gone up now because I actually think that Jorah with a load of dragons, like Jorah can just sit at the back and be like, "Ooh, I'm an activation," and let's face it, if your Crown's bombing Jorah is the best activation you've got on your turn, then you ain't dealing with dragons and you're gonna lose. So yeah, I support the Jorah on a weirwood tree for the whole game. Targs get a bit of direwolf activation spam, eh? But yeah, mammoths as well. I actually don't think mammoths are nearly as strong as people are saying, because I've run some tests and
that depends on where the community or Simon
whoever.
or TOs or whoever come down on. As you might see in Facebook, one of the discussion points is what gives you trample. Can I rotate? Can I pivot over a unit and trample it? Yeah, and the video gives 5 options, which personally I can't argue against any 5 of them being not legal. What he actually doesn't show is that if you take them to their extremes, there are much worse things. He's talking about a mammoth and a unit. What about the situation where you march between 2 units, fit right in between them, and then just 360 spin them and say,
Yeah.
all right, well, I just pivoted through you, so you just got hit. And, nothing. The problem is that pivoting doesn't cost any movement, right? So
Yeah.
I can just pivot at the start. I can just go 360 spin, bang, no scope, you get hit. I'm gonna march in whatever direction I want to go, and then I'm gonna 360 spin, no scope you again, and you're gonna take anybody within that big long range. I basically have a massive circle around me, which represents my trample. That's when even though it's identical to situation 5 in ruling, that's when you see it on the table and you're like, no, that can't possibly be right. But as far as I'm concerned, rules as written don't deny it.
No. And the
And that's when you
360
think,
spin to
God,
win.
yeah. And you don't want to see it. Like, it doesn't. It feels so gamey and poorly written.
I agree. I completely agree, and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna sit there and I'm probably gonna do it, but I don't agree with it. It is silly.
Part of the problem, Mickey.
Of course, I'm part of the problem. Says Master Builder over there. Night's Watch Senior.
That's totally different. I'm ahead of the game. It's different.
So the reason that the first pivot does work, Groose, is because trample is one action. I've said this conversation before. Trample is an action. Exactly the same way that charge is an action. Charge is not do this thing, then do this thing. Charge is do all these things. Trample is do all these things. So that pivot followed by the march.
Relevant FAQs are that it specifically calls out that if you only pivot through a piece of terrain, then you've moved through it.
Yeah.
So that's very relevant. And the other part being that it very clearly states that when you charge, it's only one form of movement and only one action for taking damage from stakes and other such effects. So when you pivot, move, align, change your 50% alignment against the unit, make an attack, that's all one action as far as they're concerned, and you will not take multiple cases of stake damage and stuff like that. So, like, if you extrapolate other FAQs to have equal meaning, equal rulings, then it's all one action. Pivot at the start, march, pivot at the end, they're all part of trample. And if you go through a unit at any of those cases, and because of terrain, pivoting through, just clipping counts as going through, therefore they've all been trampled.
What I thought was interesting is there is a direct ruling in the rule book that says pivoting ignores units, completely ignores units, which is completely fine. If that precedent holds true, then that's completely fine. But the reason that that's a problem is if it doesn't say that pivoting completely ignores terrain as well. And you now have the problem where, well, pivoting doesn't ignore terrain, except these pieces of
Mhm.
terrain that it says it ignores. And if pivoting completely ignores units all the time, then you can it brings up a whole nother set of problems. But
I mean, it's a tough one. We'll see. We'll see what the community thinks. But that will. Community's been wrong many times before. I've been wrong many times before. But I think rules as written, nothing stops you from doing it. That's the stance I always take with these rules.
mhm.
You have this thing which I think technically isn't necessarily the way it's supposed to work. When I think about the extreme and the 360 spin, I think that shouldn't be the way they want it to work. And then I look for any reason in the rules that I can find which says that you can't do that. Anything that is proof, conclusive proof, that I say, no, look, here's the rules. They say you can't do it. And until I find proof that says you can't do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
It's what I would call an allow it. Yeah, that's not the right word. The rule set allows you to do anything that it doesn't deny. Is kind of the way it works.
All they need to do, all they do need to do, Groose, and it's a slight nerf to certain things, but I don't think it really makes a much of a difference. Is they need to define pivoting as not moving. Simple as that.
Yeah.
If they just say pivoting isn't moving, that solves the entire issue. Because the other thing is, of course, is that you get a lot of people pivoting off the board edge to then move.
That's true.
And actually, that's not. If you read the rules, you're never allowed to move off the board edge or move away from the board edge. But you are allowed to move up to the edge of the board, so you're in contact with it, then pivot around to face away from it. But if you're up against the board edge like so, and then you have to pivot to then move off, you can see like part of my hand is now off screen because I've had to pivot off the board. I can now not move because I'm off the board here, and I'm never allowed to move off the board. So my movement ends, and I have to pivot back on, which means if you are parallel to the game board and directly next to it, all you can ever do is move at 90 degrees that way.
Or turn 90, yeah.
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 And that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Because
anyway, we're getting into
rules.
End of the session rules hole.
I know, right? Just why we.
I know. That's what people really come for, though, Mickey. They come for this really really interesting roundabout. The FAQs should be clearer.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Ilya's saying. Do you know what I mean? Like you could say, oh no, the mammoths are leaked. Of course there isn't an FAQ. Oh, it's not going to work like that when they're brought out. But I mean, like, yeah, like it takes them like a year to FAQ most things. So
We'll see.
Once they're out, they ain't gonna get FAQ'd for a long time. They don't quick patch stuff. They don't hot fix stuff. They watch and wait, and then a long time after everybody's been playing it a certain way, and they've then decided that that way of playing it makes it better than we want it to be. They say, oh no, you've been getting the rules wrong the whole time, and this isn't an errata of the rules. This is
a clarification.
A really frequently asked question.
Yeah. All right then, guys. We'll leave it there. But we will, on our way out, we will talk about a couple of tournaments that are coming up. We've obviously got the World Cup. We haven't talked about the World Cup too much. I don't know if you've heard about the World Cup. It's a really big event that you guys should all go and sign up for. You'll get your favourite people TOing it. That's that guy.
Just me. Okay. Making you pretend that he did loads of work, but
no, I won't, because I actually haven't. For this particular thing, I've done absolutely jack shit for this.
Winter is coming as well in
Winter is coming
in Indy.
Winter is coming.
Your favorite video creator, Sunday Slaughter, will, I believe, be doing some footage from it. So that watch out for that. It is looking to be a pretty good event. Like in the COVID period, they're gonna get 40 people, I think, is what it's looking at. So that's gonna be really good. And
some good names on there. Dakota's on there. We've got Orge Bill, who's an absolutely great neutral player, or he plays a hell of a neutral. Indy John, he's been in a couple of stuff. Sam Freefolk, I played against him a couple of times. Bolton Skincare.
Inside the news is that long-time neutral player Chris Tran is going over to the stark dark side.
Oh,
I know, I know. I believe a long time tournament champ Brett Lampfer might even be bringing Starks too. It looks like it's going to be an absolute Stark fest. And I mean, I say that as somebody who runs tournaments that have 50% Stark entries. This thing's going to be an absolute Stark fiesta, which tells you that it is probably going to be high quality lists, if anything. You know,
but it's physical.
what's interesting is that these players have a lot of these players were playing in their own meta, playing a certain way, having some competitive tournaments, and then they really got themselves into the TTS scene. And I think a lot of them have been like, "Oh wow, this is how you really play the game on 11." And they're going to bring that back to the local scene, and we'll see what happens because it might be a bloodbath.
There's 7 or 8 of those players just from there, and never mind some of the ones on the waiting list as well that I actually
Yeah.
that I've seen playing in tournaments and like a lot. Oh, hey, what's he doing there? What are they doing there? Just a big shout out to our guys over at Small Council Radio, Chris and
Yeah.
Dave Meckler, heading down as well. Just can't quite see them on
Yeah,
the screen there.
the whole small council, or a big amount of the small council crew, are heading over. See,
Good on them.
all the people that you've seen on Sunday Slaughter will probably be there, and I believe there's some people who have kind of come out of the woodwork and have thrown down some smack talk, which nobody's ever heard of. A bit of a local community that say that they're going to come along and absolutely take the tournaments by storm. So we'll see who they are and if they're as good as they call it.
Slap some shade and go smash some people.
Yeah.
All right then. So that is Wolves Howling. It's the obviously if you're an American and you're in the area, get yourself signed up. And Wolves Howling. Winter is coming.
Winter's coming.
Winter is coming.
Winter
This
is
is
coming.
the winter
Live
of
in the
our.
UK. It is dark and it's dark
Grim.
and full of terrors. It's dark and full of terrors. That's what it is.
The
over
night
here.
is dark. And the day is
The
dark
night
and
is-
full of terrors.
The days are dark. The days are dark and they're full of terrors.
All right. We've got Kings of the East Coast Gamma's tournament there. It's still on sign up. It's still got till the end of start of November before it kicks off. It's a Maritimes event for TTS. Get yourself signed up. There's 11 players so far. Some of those same names in it as well. You get signed up for that. You know, there's quite a few people on the waiting list there I see as well, including Sizemash, Corin, Silent Death. Oh, these are all people I know. Yeah.
The TTS scene is become a really good set of like close community. I think at this point, you know, I don't know how many more people will kind of join TTS at this point. Maybe they'll trickle in slowly, but it's the same names and a lot of people playing each other again and again, which is brilliant. Like you start to really recognize the names in every tournament, not just the winners. You recognize every name, and you know, I despite the fact that I recognize all these names, very few of them I've ever actually managed to play so far. So still, every tournament is another chance for me to meet new people, play new people. But I think it's a really good, close-knit community, and I hope that everybody, obviously, it's easy for me to say as the organizer, I hope that everybody comes on board for the World Cup because it wants to be the big participation event. You know, it is it's competitive, but your individual regional, your Swiss event is about participation and everybody just enjoying using the new stuff and us all getting to test out like new ideas and what's new, because things have been a little bit stale for a long time and now it's about to go wide open and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Cool. Right then, we will end the session here, guys. And just as Carlo said there, I wanted to big shout out to all the members on the Discord and the TTS communities. Everyone who's here today, all 13 people watching. Some of the names I've not recognised, some names new. Good to see new faces and more people in the community. I know that, for example, Weasel Kingdom, I haven't seen him about too much, and he's been really active in the last couple of weeks. So hopefully it's all been good with you. But yes. Absolute pleasure to have everyone here. If you're watching us on recorded, you know, keep it up. You're great too. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. Check out the site. The site's pretty good. Check out the site. I would check out the site if I were you. We'll keep you updated. And a last little shout out to all of you guys out there who are playing in TTS tournaments and who are coming in and enjoying the streams and participating. Because I've yet to meet. Well, I've only met one person in all of my TTS time, so 6 months now, pretty much. and I've only met one person I really wish I didn't have to do any work with, and that guy is on the screen with me. So everyone else has been
I'm a
fantastic.
nightmare to work with, by the way. No, never work with me. And I'm absolute diva.
And that's not
In
even a
case you
lie.
hadn't noticed.
He's not even lying. It's so true. Um, but
I'm like an egomaniacal fascist dictator of content.
and and yet you're a socialist.
Speaking of which,
But
5 minutes. Let's go over to our stream.
yeah, 5 minutes, guys. We will catch you over at Northern Realms Gaming. I will give a shout out to the Northern Realms Gaming guys. Northern Realms Gaming is, of course, it's not me. Oops, that's their website that no longer works. I don't want to take you there. The Northern Realms gaming website is a website, stream with myself and Carlo and a couple of other guys from the northeast of the UK, running all the events and things that you see.
Yeah.
And we all do our little bits. I do casting and Facebook, and Carlo does the site and the organising and everything basically. And Scott, who no one ever knows of who Scott is, he makes all of the graphics we've got. He's actually really good at graphic design. But he never does any work. And then Daryl, who just gets drunk and does streams and has a good time, to be honest. But yeah, we obviously big shout out to those two as well. But head over there. I'll drop the link in the chat.
Yeah.
And yeah, we will catch you guys in a bit.